How is everybody today? Hold on. There's some puppy wrestles going on in the background. Some babies. Oh, that was so much fun. Oh my goodness. So we're just gonna take out the TV stand. Oh no. Oh no. Alright. How is everybody? Oh hey Fitz. Hey Elfie. Oberon. Brightside. Ink. Wretched. Giuliano. My goodness, so many people. Okay, sorry, reading chat. Okay, so today we're doing the critique stream of all the, God, how dare you, hiding that indecency. Okay, oh hey Cole. Chaos. Okay, today we are critiquing our lovely illustrations and character designs and comic pages that our patrons have submitted. If you yourself are new here and would like your stuff looked at, you can sign up for our Patreon at the $8 tier, and you can submit your stuff for next month. But for now, we gotta figure out who is gonna go first. Because we have Cole here, we have Fitz here. There's lots of people who... We have Ink as well. So, who would like to go first? We had a lot of submissions this year, this month. We have, let's see, who else submitted? Because there's Ink, Fitz, Cole, Lawrence, Kuro, Mouth, Clad. Oh, and Clad. Okay. So actually less than I thought. But is Charlie there yet? No, Charlie I think is currently in the air, flying over like a dragon. I volunteer as tribute. Okay, so first Ink and then Fitz. Sounds good. Cole or Mouth, would you like to go third? Okay. Anyways. Ink, where's your stuff? There it is. Okay. Charlie grew dragon wings? Yes. Fine with third? Okay, Mouth. And then Cole, would you like to go fourth? Okay. Sorry, just finding Ink's comments. Either works for me? Okay. Awesome. Okay, so you're looking for general feedback on anatomy, color, composition, etc. for the first two. And one question in particular, are the faces or... Oh my god, sorry. Husky moments over here. Are the faces and expressions on point? Do you see any ways I could improve on them? The poses are not referenced. Okay, so you found working with references made things more static. Huh, that's interesting. I find typically the opposite will happen. When people work with reference, they'll get more dynamic stuff because they're basing it off of real life. So, okay. Okay, so in general for this first one, I really like the colors that you went with. It's very, the colors are all very cohesive. I like how you've got, like a through line with the purple. I like how you've brought in some yellows, like adding some yellow to the greens. That goes with, the yellow and pinky purple lady in the middle. I'm not sure if these are characters from a thing that I just don't understand or have seen before, or if these are OCs. But anyways, yeah, the colors are very cohesive. I think you've done a good job with the colors you've chosen. I think my favorite like color work that you've done in this, I think, is with this lady in the front in the green. And I think part of it is because a lot of her colors, especially in the shadows, you've used a lot more kind of bluey colors that create like deeper, more saturated shadows. Where I find, especially on the purple here of the back two characters, the shadows feel a bit more gray and muddy. I notice it especially on her hair here, where things are getting a little bit grayed out, and it can make things feel flat, it can make things feel muddy. I'd recommend bringing in, especially with this piece, you could bring in some more blue into the shadows to really make them feel like deeper and yeah, feel deeper and richer, and you'll get more pleasing palettes that way. I don't think we can see your cursor. Dang it, I always do that. Okay. But yeah, anyways, her hair back here is very gray, where the character in the front is a lot more saturated. The composition, you've done, I think there's a lot of good like dynamicness to the composition. I think it could be brought together more. I think if there was more, I guess, elements kind of bringing your eye around the piece. Because right now the through line is very, you start at this like top left corner and then you follow their faces down to this girl in front. And then I find like my eye goes down to the corner because you're following like her squid tentacles and stuff. And then you just kind of get left off of the page here. I think there just needs to be like a foreground element or just a different kind of pose where things are placed around the canvas in more of a like in a way that just kind of leads the eye like back up into the composition. Yeah, I'd be careful with that. I've noticed that you've, in previous images that you've submitted that have like multiple characters, you tend to line them up. And I'd recommend playing around with like using really varying heights, placing them on focal points throughout the piece. Because this back character, like her face is on like a focal point in the composition. And the character in green comes close. She's like not quite there, but she comes a lot closer than the middle one. But yeah, but I'd be working on understanding like what part of the piece you want to be focused on. Like, is it a certain character is supposed to be focused on? Is it all of their faces are supposed to be focused on? And I'd place them around the composition to ensure that people look at the right places, if that makes sense. And like, you can still have characters like in a line like this, but you definitely need to bring something else in to really lead you around the composition more. Otherwise, like, working with 3 characters is a great idea for compositions because you can use triangles really well. They're a very strong shape to put in your compositions. So you can have like the squid or the octopus girl here, and then have the pink, or you can have the green one here where she is, and then you could bring the pink and yellow squid girl like more down here, and that creates like a triangle that you can bounce between, and obviously you'd want elements to kind of bring you around as well, but just something to keep in mind. Play around with some more dynamic compositions, and see how you like it. It can be really difficult at first. You might be like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like, none of the space makes sense in this. So it could help to look at reference of like illustrations you really like if it's like pinups of characters, or I don't know, classical paintings or something, like classical portraits. You can learn a lot about composition from them, or just look at your favorite artists, see what they do, and play around with different compositions. Okay, so as for the faces and expressions, I think you do a good job at having very like expressive characters. I think I find something I've noticed with like the way you draw mouths is that they're very flat inside the mouth, if that makes sense. So like this character is angled, but her teeth are very like straight on to the camera, whereas you'd see more I guess you'd see more of like the inside of her far cheek, I guess, in a smile, because her teeth would like wrap around to the back of her jaw. So I'd recommend kind of learning, not learning, making the it sounds so weird, making the inside of the mouth more 3D. I think that'll help make your expressions feel more I think it'll help with keeping things like lining up, and then the expression can really shine through. Because I really like the front green girl, because you do a good job with like modeling like her lips and the little like slightly parted mouth. Where like, because it's just like a shadow in there, you can't really tell if it's like flat or if it's modeled, and it's very simplified, and it works because you do have a very simplified style. And I like the little shine and the shadow involved and stuff. I think it's just a really good job, and I'd love to see that more with the other mouths on your characters. I really like the little crinkle on her nose because she's smiling so big. Again, I think it would be helped by adding more depth to like the inside of her mouth, but I think you're doing a good job with like having little tiny expression differences, because I like how the front one's got like a very kind of like she's very like cool, I guess, more reserved. So I like she's got this like little small smile. I really like the line work you've done like around the eyes, like underneath, and then the eyelid on top. I'd love to see more little details through that, because it adds a lot of depth to her face. But anyways, the difference between the expressions, and I like how the mid. Oh my god, there's a cat attacking me. Sorry. The middle character, I like how she looks more kind of like fierce and energetic, and I like how the last one seems very like bubbly and happy. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good piece. I love her little hair bit down here. I'd love to see more of it. Part of it is like her tentacles are covering her hair, but I'd love to see more of these little like hair curls. Maybe like going over her shoulders, or like splaying out behind her because they're underwater. Hey, Lawrence. Okay. All right. Anyways, do you have any questions about that ink? Or anything I missed? Matica, were you being a troublesome lady? It hits the points? Okay, awesome. Ah. All right. So for the next one, okay, so I think I have the same kind of feedback for the color on this one, where I think the overall color palette is really great. I love how the like pinks and purples and blues, they're all kind of pulled to that really cool purpley pinky spot. And it matches really well with like her hair and the blue highlights. Everything is just like in the right like tone space, I guess. For the colors, they're very cohesive. The only thing is the shadow work here is very desaturated. I'd recommend bringing in these really rich like blues and purples that you have going on, and bring that into the shading on like her hair and her dress and her skin. I miss Bones. Why you don't like me? Anyways, yeah, so just again, the shadows feel very desaturated. I notice it most on her skin, because like with skin tones, it can be hard because you want them to still feel, well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say you want them to still feel warm, but it depends on the skin tone, because some people have very cool skin tones. But yeah, but I think what's happened is you've gone, although honestly, no, sorry, I'm going back and forth in my head. I was gonna say I thought you made the base skin tone like a little too desaturated, but that's not true, because if you go with like very pale light skin tones, you tend to go very desaturated. Otherwise they go like neon bright, which doesn't always do what you want. Whereas yeah, I think you need to bring more warmth into the shadow, whether that's bringing in like a pink or a purple, or using maybe some peachy colors, just to warm up her skin tone, because it's very desaturated, it's very gray looking. It's less of a problem in the dress, because you are trying to get like a very cool white gray color, but I think just because the shadows are the exact same on her skin, it just has a weird effect. The other thing I'd say with the blue highlight, I like what you're doing with it, but I think the color needs to be lightened quite a bit. It feels very it doesn't quite feel like a highlight, because it is so similar to the colors it's on top of, because it's darker than her skin, and it's about the same color, or no, same value as her hair, not color. So it's very like, it's very saturated, but it's very mid-tone. I'd recommend going like even lighter, and maybe build, if you want it to like really shine, maybe build up like a couple of layers of highlight. So maybe like this blue could be your base, and then inside it you add like an even lighter, more saturated blue, and then from there you keep adding until maybe you get to like more of a really light desaturated white, like almost white blue, so that you get that shine to really come through. Try building it up a little bit the same way you build depth in shadow, by having like your base shadow and then a darker shadow, just going the opposite way with the highlight. Yeah, I think that would help quite a bit. I also think there's some weirdness going on with her face. The way the shadow's reacting doesn't quite fit. Because you do a good job of like showing the shadow from her hand that's on her face. But I don't understand why she's got like shadow on this half of her face, because she'd have, because you can see like with my face in the camera. I'll go big screen just to show you. Because even though I've got like a lot of light across here, I still have a little bit of light showing on this cheekbone. And across like, and there's a shadow from like the bridge of my nose. And you can see like as my cheek rounds, like you have shadow here and stuff. With a little bit of like lightness at the very edge. And yeah, and you see it like down here at the bottom of my cheeks and on my chin. There's still light, even though like the light source is very strong over on this side, but the shadow doesn't cover like my entire face over here. So hopefully that makes sense. Whereas on this, you've got her entire like half of her face in shadow, despite the fact that like her body has only the edge of like her torso is covered in shadow. So that's just something to keep in mind. I've noticed that in other pieces you've submitted where the shadow gets very, is not following the form as much as it could. I think you've got a good sense of where to place shadow. I think you just need to do a bit more, kind of sculpting out your shapes with your shading. Yeah, as for the expression, I think I have the same comment about the mouth. It feels very flat in comparison to the rest of the face. But I do like the big expression. There's some, I'm not sure what it is. There's some like sadness going on in her eyes. I think it's like, I think part of it is just like the eye crease that you have over top, where it adds some like heaviness to the eyes. Or a big expression like that, I feel like the eyes would be like totally like fully open. So yeah, not sure if that's what you intended, but that's the vibe I'm getting. But overall, the expression is like good. I think you do a good job of like pushing the expression. The only other little nitpick I have is this hand here feels a little off model. So I'd recommend adding some more structure. Like the thumb doesn't feel like it has, like you need more meat in where the thumb connects to the hand. And there's just some weird foreshortening stuff going on with that hand. Yeah, I think that's the big stuff. Overall, I think a good job with color and composition and expression and stuff. Ah, shoot, this hand. Thanks, Fitz. This front hand. It's the one that I'm having issues with. Husky, she do be feral. Alright, do you have any questions on that one, Ink? Fitz is the hero Ursula needs. It's true. That hits? Awesome. Okay. No problem. Did I close the last one? No. Okay. I should close these so I don't forget. Alright. So for the third one, how does the expression look? Anything that's off or holding it back? I've been experimenting with off-model facial expressions. I think you're doing a really good job with pushing the expressions, because your characters are still like cute and pretty and stuff. I think that's something that a lot of people are afraid to do like off-model expressions because you're worried that like it might, you know, like really cute and pretty characters, you think like, oh, they need to have like a neutral expression. I mean, if you look at like I don't know, models in magazines and stuff, like that, a lot of them are not emoting. But that's because, you know, your focus is on maybe like the clothes or the product, not the person. But anyways, I think you're doing a good job of going off model with the facial expressions and really pushing them. And I think you're doing a good job. My beloved led to be in. Yes. I sure do know who this character is. Okay. So, I love the expression. I love the emotion in this piece. I think you've done a really good job with like the atmosphere around, with the expression, with the pose. It feels very powerful. You can tell there's like a lot of rage. Yeah. Overall, I think this is a really great piece. I think so I'd say there's okay, so despite this having some desaturated shadows throughout it, I think it works because you have a background that is like even more desaturated. It's got a lot of gray going on, and it's good. Like it and not in a bad way. Don't understand my video game. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Oberon. Okay. Sorry, Sammy. Why am I calling you Oberon? Okay, right. So anyway, so the shadows, while being desaturated, they're more saturated than the background. And it just works really well. It's very balanced. It makes her feel like she's in the environment. Like I think if you went too saturated, it would probably like pull her out of the atmosphere, if that makes sense. So I think you've done a really good job balancing the colors in this one. Yeah, I like how everything is pulled to that very like cool place. And I really like how the reddish, peachy, salmon-y pink in the that you've used for the I want to say pink, but it's more like a red in the jacket. Matches really well with the kind of salmon-y orange you've got going in the back. I love like right back here where you see like the sunset or the lights coming out from behind the silhouettes of the buildings. Just really great effects and layering and stuff going on in the background. But anyways, I like how you've pulled like the orange through on the jacket. And it works. And the pink of the hair works really well with like the purpley reddish colors you've got going through the shadows and stuff. Yeah, I think the only thing I'd add for the atmosphere, because I think overall you've done a good job, I might add some glowy effects to the like power stuff happening. The little light blue thingies you got going around. I might add some extra layers of like adding some glow to them, or some like adding in some white highlights or something, just to like make them feel a little less flat and make them have as much like dynamicness as they deserve. Yeah, but I do like how you worked with the glow from the glove. I think you've done some cool stuff with like adding like the highlight around it. I think you could also go even brighter, like having like a little like even more of a highlight on the light would help. Just making things stand out more. It also feels like there's some You've got it a little bit. Like, you've got some blue highlight on some of the lines of the gauntlet, but it feels like it needs to spread a bit more. Like, on the knuckles, I feel like there'd be some light hitting. When is the next live stream? Our next live stream will be Thursday. But that'll be just like a regular, back to our scheduled programming. And the next feedback live stream where we look at art and scripts and stuff will be at the end of next month. Probably not quite the end of the month because people will be away for like holidays, but yeah, an end-ish of December is the next critique live stream. Anyways, I think you did a really great job. There's something, the only other thing that I noticed, I'm not sure what it is. Like, I was sitting here trying to figure out what the heck feels off to me, but her torso feels very flat. Like, I know there's like, you've done shadow stuff like on her chest and like her stomach, but there's something about it that still feels really flat. I think it might be like it needs some more shadow from underneath the jacket. Like, you've got a little bit, but it feels like there needs to be like more, like a deeper shadow to show separation between the jacket and like her torso underneath. And then the shading on the jacket feels very flat, but there's just something there where it needs like a little bit more like sculpting in the shadow. Because you've got, it's like works really well like on her legs where you're showing off like the cylindricalness of her legs. Oh, I just realized it's not showing off the bottom of the piece. Here we go. But anyways, great shadow work on the legs. I just find like across her stomach feels very flat, and I think it just needs a bit more shadow there to really show like the difference between her shirt and the jacket and show more form. Yeah, but overall I think this is a really great piece. Do you have any questions on that, Ink? Anything I didn't cover? It's been a whole year since you joined the server? Really? It's only been a year? Heck. Time flies. That's all? Awesome. Well, thanks, Ink. Thanks for submitting. Alright, so Fitz is next. Alrighty. Okay. So these are all unrelated designs. Okay, the first one is a D&D character. His name is Kaleo. General feedback on whatever stands out. Okay. What's Bones doing? He's just chilling. He's... Oh, hold on. I have a special guest. Come back, special guest. Please. No, special guest. What are you doing? And the special guest is here. Oh, baby. She has things to say about art. Bones is just chilling off screen. So, this is his replacement. Okay, anyways. So, general feedback stuff. Is Charlie the special guest? Yes, this is Charlie. Our mod was a cat all along. Okay. So, the colors in this are very lovely. I love the contrast between the gold and the and I like how it's like a kind of orangey warm gold, and then the bluey purple is a very good contrast for it. You got some really good contrast going on between like the different pieces of the outfit. I especially love how like dark and saturated the color on like the belt sash piece and the boots. I think that just stands out really nicely. Charlie is our new cat. Yes. Okay, she wants to sit in my lap proper. Okay. I also really love the like subtle gradients on the markings. I'm not sure if they're tattoos or just like markings he has, but anyways, I really like how light you've gone with it, and the subtle gradients and stuff, showing how the light reacts with like his skin and stuff. I think that all has a really nice effect. I like his expression. The face feels very structured and very it's just nice. It's very pleasing. It's very structured. I think you did a really good job there. I think the only kind of issue I'm noticing is some weird perspective stuff that's happening. There's something a little off about this arm and shoulder. And the way like the chest and the neck are attaching to the shoulders. There's something a little bit off. But yeah, it's just like a smidgen, if that makes sense. Like I might bring this far shoulder down a little bit. Oh my god, you can't see my cursor, I'm sorry. I might bring this far shoulder down a little bit. And possibly the neck needs to be brought over to the left a little. Something like that. Yeah, there's something there. I also think that the hands and possibly the feet are a little bit big. I might shrink them down a little. And there's also something a little wonky going on with this hand where the thumb is not attaching correctly to the main piece of the hand. Like it needs to be brought further up. And I think there needs to be a bit more like of that connection between the thumb and the hand, if that makes sense. But yeah, I really like the shading on this one. You've got lots of nice like subtle gradients, lots of like color variation between the shadow and the midtones and highlights. Just very pleasing. It's got a very nice like airbrushy effect. Yeah. Do you have any questions on it, Fitz, or anything I didn't cover? Miku's like falling asleep in my lap. My baby. Why are you so sleepy? Why are you sleepy? I think that's good. Okay, awesome. Okay, so the next is a character sheet. His name is Demori. He's for an RP with some friends. And they're all deities. Okay. General critique on his design and anything that stands out. Okay. Miku, behave. Oh no! Don't push the mic away. Okay. So, I really like how I really like the parallels you have between his like casual clothes and his like work clothes. I think that's cute. But yeah, but I like how the kind of cape turns into like an overcoat. I like how he's got like the gold kind of orangey shirt underneath. The blue of the pants turns into jeans, and then the his crazy god boots turn into just regular boots. I think that's really cute. Okay, go. Yeah, good stuff. I think that's a really clever transition between the different outfits. So I found, looking at his work clothes, okay, so I think there's two little bits that feel a little off to me. One is that his hair is very close in color to his sleeves. Like the sleeves admittedly have more like a dark shadow to them, and you have lots of like thick lines to differentiate them, but I think they blend together like a little bit. I might recommend like lightening up the hair or darkening the clothes, just to add like a little bit more separation, like maybe have it feel more like the hat or the cuffs. Just a bit like adding some more kind of that dark orange to it. The other thing that feels off to me is the puffy pants, which I, don't get me wrong, I love the puffy pants, but the color feels off. Like I like how it matches the jeans, so I'm not sure what you'd want to do. It feels like it just needs to be, that light blue needs to be brought elsewhere in the piece. Just because like you have he's got the kind of bluey skin, which I like because he's the god of death. So I like the cold skin. But and then he has like the dark blue in the cape. But I just feel like that light blue needs to be brought somewhere else in the outfit because it feels very standout in this very unique outfit. So I'm not sure if that's like adding some bits to the hat or the it's his eye color. Oh, I see. I think it just is very, I think it just needs to be brought like somewhere else, maybe the torso or something, I'm not sure, but just he needs like one more little touch. Could add light blue ribbons to the hat. Yeah, that could work. Definitely. Yeah. Again, I think you've done a good job with like structuring the face. I think you are doing a really great job of making everything feel very aligned. I also like the posing that you're doing. Like, I like how you've got the, oh shoot, what's it called? There's a special name for it when you have the shoulders and the hips in opposite angles. I forget what it is, but it's a certain stance that adds dynamicness to a pose. So, great work there. Yeah, I would agree with Steven in the chat. The hands do feel a little bit big. Contrapasta, that's it. That's it. You're on this. But yeah, good job with the posing. I do think the hands are like a little bit too big. But I think that's like the biggest nitpick I have. Overall, I think this is a really solid design. I love the big hands. That's true. If it's a stylization thing and you're just like, Ursula, shush, then don't listen to me. I do like how his work clothes, it reminds me a lot of, there's like a specific outfit that Sakura has in Card Captors. It has a very similar like hat and puffy like sleeves and pants that this is reminding me of, and I like it a lot. So yeah, let me know, Fitz, if you have any questions. I think the bigger hands and feet on taller characters. Oh, sorry, you like the bigger. Okay. Try to be more conscious of the size. If it's something you like, then don't listen to me at all. Because like I can tell you how to make things more like, I don't know, I guess realistic, but having your own style is like totally cool. I think that's good. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay. So the final one is a character inspired by a Tamagotchi. His name is Tama. Ended up deciding to put him in the same deity universe thing. He's the god of entertainment. I like it. I like general feedback on whatever stands out to you. Design stuff, specifically coloring and line art. I'm trying to do a new thing. I've colored the line art mostly on the inside, but the colors outside where the light might be hitting. Oh, but also, okay. I think that was a really cool idea. I did notice that right away, and I think it really works. Like, it adds a lot of depth to your line art, which is really cool. I especially enjoy it up here on his face, where the light is hitting like the top corner of the TV face, and I really love it like right here on the shoe. Like, I like how there's a bit of like a gradient going on where you can see like the light is really hitting the sneaker here, and then it feels a little bit darker up here. It's just like, mwah, chef's kiss. Just a really great job with the shadow and stuff. And the lighting. And yeah, I really like your work with gradients. Like I said in the last one, I think you're doing some really great stuff. I especially like it on this front leg here. Like, it's just got some nice shape and going on. And lots of good like variance between like shadows and highlights and showing the form. It really softens things out, and it's really nice. Glad it looks nice. Yeah, you did a really good job. I really like the colors. There's lots of good contrast going on between all the different parts. Yeah, I really like how the shirt really matches with like the inside screen of the Tamagotchi. That really bluey, greeny blue color with the stars and stuff. Yeah, and I think you've done a good job with like bringing the different little design elements throughout, with like the stars and the pink and the lines and stuff. I love the face also. That is super cute. And the little antenna and stuff that matches like the antenna that comes out the top. That's just really fun. I also love the mismatched sock lengths. Not the yellow socks, but the blue socks. It's really cute. Wait, shoot. I'm not even correct. I was mixing up the colors because he's actually wearing leggings where one pant leg is longer. My bad. Because his hands are the light blue. My bad. But yeah, but I like the varied lengths. It's very fun. Okay. Yeah, I think you've done a really great job in here as well. Like right on the shirt where you've got this like little light bloom happening and then these like subtle shadows underneath really forming that like the shape of the shirt front. It's really nice. It's a really great job with showing the form. And I also like how you've brought in this really like saturated blue along with the light bloom. I think that's really cool. I think with the sleeves, I'd like to see some even darker shadows worked in. Because you've got some really like deep folds going on with having the sleeves rolled up like that. And I'd just like to see like a little bit darker shadows in to show more of the folding fabric. Because what I'm getting with these sleeves is they feel a little because, okay, so with the shading that you've done on the legs, it feels like you really understand the form of the leg, where you've got like some nice shadows around like the knees, showing like the curve of the thigh and the calf. And like I think you understand that form. Where I think with the sleeves, it's maybe like a little harder to discern, but it feels right now like you've kind of like outlined the top and the bottom with shadow. And then just added like highlights to the middle. And like I know what you're doing because you're trying to get that like cylindrical shading on the arm, and like you're close, but it definitely feels like you need to like understand the form of the sleeve a little bit more, because I think there'd be more kind of like wrinkles and pulling and dark shadows like right under like right around the armpit, and you'd see more form around this kind of like what kind of sleeve is that called, like the lantern sleeve type thing. Yeah, and just more folds and shadow and stuff. Gotta carve a bit more shapes. Yeah, exactly. Because you've got some really great like shapes going on in here. They just, yeah, need to be modeled more. Yeah, I know you can do it because so much of your stuff is so nice. Yeah, I really love the gradient also going on in the screen. I like how it goes to this really saturated purple and then to this more orangey color and then to the yellow orangey gold thing up here. Just really great transition on the gradients there. Ursula, do you read webcomics? I have one on Tapas. Yeah, I do read webcomics. I'm proud of you for posting your comic. But yeah, overall, really great stuff. I love what you're doing with the line work and the shading on this one in particular. This might just be a preference thing for me, but I'd love it if the head was like a little bit bigger. Just because it's like so cute. I just want to see more of it. If that makes sense. But that's just my preference. I don't think you'd actually need to change it for it to be a better design or anything. Yeah, so do you have any more questions on that? On that one at all? Yee. How does the pose look? I think you've done a really great job with the legs. Yeah, there you've got some good like dynamic lines going on with the legs in the pose. And I think, because I get like with the pose, it's very like, is it stiff? I don't think it's stiff. I think the posing of the arms could be pushed a little bit more. Because it feels kind of like they're just there. Or like, they're kind of, I feel like just the line work could, not the line work, but like the gesture line of them could be more kind of dynamic, if that makes sense. Like, maybe like straightening this arm out so it's not bent and having everything kind of follow like the line of the finger through the arm. I don't know, and doing something with this hand, it feels a little superfluous, like maybe doing like, you know, the little peace V sign or something like that. Something like that. The arms feel like they need a little bit more structure, but overall I think the pose is good, especially in the legs. Because you have this very like opposing line where you've got this like straight line with a straight kind of through line with the right leg, and then the left leg is like bringing this like nice curve through the body down through the bottom, and that's kind of why it feels dynamic. Yeah. I never know what to do with arms and hands. Drawings and real life. Oh, mood. What do you do with your hands? Oh. I think one thing that's really funny is like when you actually look at like references from like what people do when they're actually just standing around talking is like a lot of people just have their hands at their sides and you're like, wow, that would be such a boring thing to draw. But it's how a lot of people stand. I've been slacking on giving the arms a purpose recently. I've been doing a lot of full bodies. They become an afterthought at times. Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it can be difficult, especially when you're like, I'm just trying to do like a pin-up design type thing. Like, what do I do with the pose? While still making it interesting. It can be difficult. It can probably help to look at like sorry. It can help to look at maybe like, I guess like anime and cartoon references, because like, you know, obviously like a person in real life isn't gonna do like a wacky pose like that. But looking through like cartoons or animes or superhero stuff, you can usually find some dynamic poses that you can draw inspiration from. Yeah, it does also help, yeah, for holding a microphone or something, or just having something for your character to do. That can be really helpful. Just giving them something they're up to instead of just posing for a camera. Yeah. Do you have any other questions, Fitz? Wow, Nightbot is wildin'. Awesome. Well, thanks for submitting. Okay, so next is mouth. Okay. So you had some comparisons. Correct? Yeah, so 2 redraws. Okay, so you don't need a critique on the old ones, just the new ones. Okay. I'd like to know which one is better. Oh, I got you, okay. Okay, so the first one is a splash page. Okay, got it. Okay, so for this first one, so I'll show the stream, the original one. So yeah, so I agree. I kind of like what you were doing, because you mentioned how for this original version, you flipped the screen to show how like hard-hitting it was for the main character, and I think that's like a really good thought process to have. That's like what Dutch angles are used for, in like, to use a film term, where they'll tilt the camera a little bit to make things feel really uneasy. So yeah, so I think flipping it like this was a cool idea in the original. Rita, what's going on? Why are we spamming the chat with little ellipses? I feel like this is a glitch. What's going on? Okay. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so for this one, I think the composition for this new one you've done, a long pause, possibly. There's a very dramatic pause. Or a glitch where they typed once and then it just kept posting. I once had a coworker send me a text like that. Like, they sent one text, but their phone like sent me a repeat of it like 30 times. It was ridiculous. Anyways. So yeah, so I think compositionally for this piece, I think having everything like upright the correct way, I think leads to a more dynamic composition overall. I think... Okay, so I also like how you have things framed. It feels very dramatic. I like how you have the main character facing like kind of sideways, kind of towards the camera to get like a better view of their expression, while you get like the front view of the other characters. So I think that works really well. I think you've also got a good like composition going on, bouncing between like the 3 faces. That works really well. I think you could push it more by making the pink character in the front larger, just to show that like they're closer to the camera. I think you could also get away with doing some more dramatic shadowing on the characters, because I like how you got this like dramatic slash of like black through the background to show like the ground they're standing on. I think that works really well. I'd love to see some maybe like darker shadows on the character, similar to how you have like the shading on the neck here. So bringing that in could also help add some more kind of like making things feel very like heavy and dramatic. especially for the main character. I think there also needs to be some stuff going on like up here. It feels very empty. If you have like dialogue going here, then disregard me. But yeah, but up here feels a little bit empty. I think the expressions are great. I think they get along with the different characters. I love the vampire, by the way. I love how he's like greeny, like greeny brownish colored. It's a good vampire look. Also, the sun is menacing. My God. I think you've also got better contrast going on in the new one as compared to the last one. Is the shading all right? I've been trying new shading. I like it. It's very, it has better contrast than the previous one that was flat colored. I like how you're using like highlights, and then midtone and shadows. I think you could darken the shadows more. I think the best example of where you've done it is on the vampire's hair, where you've got these like darker shadows going on. I'd bring that through the other characters more. But yeah, I like it a lot. I think you're doing a pretty good job modeling the forms. With your highlights, it works here. It works really well with this character. I can't remember. Is this their brother who's being manhandled by the vampire? But anyways, with this character here, you've done the highlighting on the hair really well, where you're just getting like the top of the horn and like the top of the head and then some little shines. I think that's a really great way to show the highlight. Manhandled, yeah. How else would you describe that? Anyways, so yeah, the highlighting there looks really great. Whereas I find on the hair of the vampire, it feels just kind of globbed on. It's not modeling the form. I use it to kind of like halo the head, like follow the lines of the hair, showing like the different locks of hair. And then using your shadow to kind of define the shapes even more. It works pretty well with the pink character here. I'd honestly bring the shadow in more to show like they're turned away a little bit. And I think you could definitely use like darker shadows on the clothes for all of them. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I like the color palette a lot. I like how things are kind of like sepia toned. The colors feel very cohesive. Like they all have, yeah, they've all been kind of yellowed a little bit, which makes it feel like a little bit old-timey, which is fun. And I think they all match well. Like I like the through line of the kind of pinky color for the main characters and then the green contrast for the vampire. Yeah, I think the only thing that's missing is contrast. Aside from the pure black. That's got good contrast, but with shadows and stuff needs a bit more. But the color story is really working. I honestly might bring some more green into like the sun in the background to make things feel very like off balance for the main character and make it feel like it's more on like the vampire side, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think you can push it a little bit more to make everything look green except for the main characters. Okay, do you have any other questions for this one? Anything I didn't cover? That's good. Awesome. All right. Okay, so for this next one, okay. So this is the original, and then this is the new one. I redrew it last year to commemorate the anniversary of its launch. Okay, now that the new year is coming, I'm planning to redraw the second page. I want critique on both so I can show my growth as a comic artist. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so the okay, let's see. It's interesting how you switched up the colors from having everything being very red with like little green and blue highlights, and then going to a very green look and have it using the red as highlights. Yeah, I think they both work. It just depends on the mood you're going for, because the red feels very like oppressive in the original, whereas here it feels very it feels more like a highlight to really like point out things. Not sure my thought process is fair. Yeah, whereas here the kind of red and pink really bring attention to things in contrast to the green. For this new one, I would be careful with using this really bright warm red and then using this more cool pink color. I think it would be best to like stick to one or the other, or like harmonize them more, so that whether that means pulling the red to more of like a cool color or warming up the pink here so it's less purpley. Just because they're kind of clashing a little bit. Because they're both calling for attention, but they're both contrasting a little. So yeah, so I just align them more. Or choose one or the other. I think you've done a better job compositionally with the paneling. Because here in the first one, everything is very like cut in half by your dialogue, which is interesting. But I think it's not as like sorry. What's interesting to me is using the dialogue to split apart your panels, which can imply that everything is kind of happening simultaneously as they speak. But cutting your composition in half like that feels very, it can lead to a kind of boring composition, whereas like you want things to be different sizes to create like that dynamicness. Looking back, I enjoyed the original a lot more. The newer one was very rushed looking back. That's fair. I think the composition of the new one is a bit better. At least the placement of like the bubbles and the placement of the paneling. Like I really like these first two panels with the little like I don't know, surprise, flashy panel guy, whatever you call this, the squiggly line here, is really great. And I like how it leads into the second panel. I find the last panel on the new one is a little bit boring. The thing is, like, I really like the silhouette of the characters at the bottom. I think it could be funnier having the severed head as part of the silhouette. Because that was something I really liked with this one, where you show them holding up the severed head, and it's kind of funny. As they speak. And I think you could do that here. I also think it's unnecessary to show their expressions in the second panel, or the third panel, I guess. Because you get across the emotions in the previous panel, and then, yeah, I'm just not sure of the purpose of having their faces floating, unless you were showing, like, a new expression has appeared. Because I think just showing their silhouettes also works. So yeah, so I'd recommend that. But compositionally, I think the second try works a lot better. I do really like how you did the background in your first version. Like, I love the really textured kind of like shine going on to the buildings in the background. It's kind of a shame that they get covered up by the speech bubbles here. And I'd love to see more of that effect, but I love the textured brush you're using. I like the little gold highlights throughout it. It's really pretty. And I think you could bring more of that effect into the more foreground elements as well. Your second one also has like better contrast between the characters in the foreground versus the background. Yeah. Compositionally in the first one, you've also got like a bit of a tangent going on where this first panel is aligning with the organ dump. So there's just like a line right down the side, which feels very... It separates things from these two. I mean, it's fine that it separates from this second panel, the first versus the second, but I find this last one is really cut in two by this line going down the side like that. That's just something to keep in mind. I think you could have more contrast on the sign where it says organ dump. The sign just feels very dark. I'd use white lettering on top of that, or a light color. Whether that's green or red or whatever you choose. Or I'd lighten the background of this sign up so that you can see the black on it easier. Yeah. I think you've also, despite having better, like, value contrast in the second one, like, the foreground characters are, like, darker, whereas I find, like, in this one, they kind of melt with the background a little bit. You do have better contrast going on because the background here is red, and they're more kind of, like, cool colors, like green and blue. Whereas here it's like kind of green and blue on green. Admittedly, the masked character, you've like saturated the blues a lot, which makes it stand out. And same with the greens. But anyways, this is just something to keep in mind where red or orange might contrast the green and blue better in the background. Yeah, I'd also love to see more... Like, in both of them, I'd love to see more kind of background stuff going on, like showing the actual, like, organ dump kind of piled up, like seeing, I mean, in this pulled out shot, you could just do, like, texture stuff to kind of imply it, but seeing like little heads and arms and legs and stuff I think would probably be fun. Because right now it does kind of look like I don't know. I understand these hills probably imply they're part of the dump, but the only I don't know, gory thing you see is like the head, and in this one there's an arm. But yeah. I think you could add some fun little background elements to it. Was there anything else that I didn't touch on that you were wondering about? I guess which color palette you prefer? I think personally I like the green majority color palette a little bit better. I think for me it kind of implies like kind of decay, I guess, in this scene, where this first one feels very hellish and hot, where this feels very kind of cool and reminds me of like decay and zombies and stuff. Yeah, and I think just the colors like harmonize a little bit better in the second one, whereas the first one they feel a little bit all over the place. But I do really love how you've done the buildings in the distance and the texture stuff. So yeah, so I think the second one's my fave. Just personally. Yeah. Just personally. How much more cohesive? Yeah, I think so. Is there anything else? That's it. Wanted a critique on both of them. You did that side by side. Yeah, I kind of talked about them both at once. So, awesome. Well, thanks for submitting. It's so cool seeing, like, big jumps in improvement. Okay, Cole was next, I believe. Okay. So this first one. Okay. The comic book page is for a horror comic. I wanted to get your opinion on it compared to my usual art style, if you remember. I do remember. Okay. So, I really, really like the work on this that you're doing with the screen tone look. Like, especially as the lighting around the match. Like, that is just so cool. I really like it. That is such a cool effect. it really adds a lot of atmosphere to it, with the subtle gradient from like the black to the dots and the white around the match. And I like how you carry it through with him lighting the cigarette and then dropping it. Yeah, you're doing some really cool stuff with screen tones. I also really like it as like atmosphere behind him. It's also a limited color palette. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think you're doing a really good job with like highlighting things using color, and then the cool stuff you're doing with the screen tones is also great. The one place sorry, let me continue. I think compositionally you're also doing a really good job. I love the sound effect work here, where it really follows the movement of like the match lighting. It really fits in well with the art style. Compositionally, everything is working really well. You're using color to highlight like the face, like the mask he's wearing, and the match, and the cigarette. Lots of good contrast between different things. The one I'm having trouble with is the last panel, where you have the smoke coming out from under the shoe. I think part of it is like, I like the idea of it. I like the tendrils that are like coming off, especially like this one here on the right side. But it feels a little bit, because the smoke is so tucked in close to the boot, it feels like energy, like warping around his foot or something like that. Like, it just feels weird. I think like, it's hard to tell, like, is it shadow? Is it some kind of like effect? Is it the smoke coming out? It's just a little hard to tell. I'd recommend defining it a little bit more, or defining the smoke more, as he squashes the match under his foot. Yeah, that's the only place where I'm having like a bit of an issue with understanding what I'm looking at there. But yeah, I just love the paneling in this. You're doing some really cool stuff with showing like the passage of time. Like showing the light, the match lighting, showing the match falling. Like, it's just really cool. You're doing lots of cool stuff with like parallel sized paneling. Oh, his foot is supposed to be moving back and forth. Oh, I can kind of see it. It might help to add some line work around it. Just showing it kind of drawn in more than one place instead of just using like the impression of the foot. That might help with showing that the foot is like moving it and squishing it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because now that you mention it, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. Yeah, I think you just maybe need to use some line work on top to show the motion. But yeah, you got some cool atmosphere going on. I think you could also, this is just my preference in all comics, but I think you could do some cool, really dark shading on these two middle panels where it shows his face. Because you've got some like cool kind of deep shadows going on his gloves in the first two panels. It would be cool to see some more shadow on him. Whether that you do that through like pure black, or using screen tones, or using a gray, something like that. I think that would just help kind of fill things out a little bit more. how does it compare to my other work? Oh, right. I think... Okay, I think you always had a good sense of paneling. Like you've always been pretty good at doing like very creative paneling and like showing movement through the page, like showing your oh god, what's the word? Like the path through the page really well, and I think you still do that here. I really like the high contrast by using the limited palette. I think it helps with the focus of your pages a lot, because I know in previous ones I think there was sometimes issues with like colors, like contrast issues and stuff, but I find this is very focused in a really great way. I think because it isn't color, I think you're also doing more focus on your line work, or maybe it's just because I haven't seen your work in a while, but I think you've done a lot of improvement with shape and with your line work, which is really great to see. It's looking really nice. But it still feels like your work, like it still feels like it has like the Cole touch. But yeah. It's recognizable as your style, but it is very different than your other comic. Does that make sense? Was there something more specific you were looking for? I wonder where our special guest went. Hi, Yui. Welcome. It makes sense. I was curious if it looked a little more horror-like than my other stuff. Yeah, definitely. Your other comic feels very, like fantasy adventure, where this feels very horror, because you're using the dramatic lighting. Obviously the character has a very scary face, with his mask. Yeah, it feels very moody, very horror. So yeah, I think you're doing a good job with that, with the atmosphere. Yeah, so let me know if there's any other questions on this one. Happy to answer. I also really like the detail on the stitching of the mask. I think that's really cool. And there's something about his face in this third panel here, like just the little lines on the bag to show the folds, like, mwah, chef kiss. It can be the subtlest things that just add so much depth to a piece. He's supposed to be the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I definitely got Scarecrow vibes. I was thinking more like... Is that the Scarecrow? Is that the Batman guy? The Batman villain? So yeah, you're definitely getting Scarecrow vibes. I like it. I also like the idea of a Scarecrow who's like full of hay. Or straw, I guess. It's full of straw smoking. That's really funny to me. I like it a lot. Hello. Come on up. Come on. There she is. There's the lady. Can't really see her. There she goes. Baby. Okay. Well, I'll move on to the next one, but you let me know if you have any other questions. Okay. So for your second one, you said this is a coloring book page. Okay. So I wanted to say first that I think your line work has like really improved. Like I mentioned in the last piece we were looking at with you, where your line work has definitely like leveled up since the last time I saw your submissions. Oh, sorry. I questioned my writer when he said he was lying in a cigarette. He said, yeah, that's the point. Oh, I like that. My attempt at a coloring book page. Okay. So yeah, so your line work is looking really good. I like how you're using like a lot of line variety, so different like thickness and thinness of lines. Your shapes feel a lot more structured, I find. Like you're doing a lot more like little lines to imply shadow. I think the line weight also helps with that. It can add shape to your shapes by just using different weighted lines. Yeah, your shapes just feel a lot more full, where previously sometimes they felt a little flat. I like I like the concept of a witch going to the beach with her all her witch supplies. One thing, so like how they're playing with like a magic 8-ball. That's like a beach ball. Yeah, the one thing I'd say, because I love the concept overall, I think the bat wings on her like flotation ring guy, they feel a little like I'd like to see a bit more structure as a bat wing. Like showing more of that that really taut curve between the different spikes, because like inside a bat wing, it's like their fingers, so like their hand ends, so if you're looking at an actual bat, their hand like ends at the very top of the wing, and then their fingers kind of descend into the rest of the wing. And then the membrane is kind of between all of them. So yeah, where this feels a little more like hair, because you've got these very sharp peaks in between the different, I guess, fingers of the wing. So yeah, so I'd recommend just tightening those up, and they might feel more bat-like. But I love the concept of it. I love how she's carrying like a witch's cauldron as her little sand bucket. Yeah, you get me. And I love her hat and her sunglasses. They're very cute. So as for a coloring page, I think you've got all the elements down. I think you just need to add in some more detail work. Because for something like a coloring page, people want to have more kind of small shapes that are easier to fill. Especially if someone wants to use just like a whole bunch of different colors and stuff with it. So I'd recommend adding in some more kind of details, especially in like this side of the image. Like you've got a lot of depth and detail and little things to fill in with these trees here. Like I love the texture on the palm trees. And I think you just need to bring that through the rest. Like I think it would help to add like ripples in the water, add in some clouds or some lines to show that someone could fill to make like, I don't know, a gradient in the sky or something. You could add in like lines in the sand. You could do like ocean spray coming in on the shore. I think there's just lots of like little details you could bring in that would really help. And maybe like the larger empty shapes you could leave on the characters, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think you just need some more shapes that people can fill throughout. Some little details here and there. But compositionally, overall, I think it's really fun. I also really like the crab with the little witch house. That's very cute. Yeah, I think that would be my only advice for it as a coloring page. Because I tried making a coloring page once, and I got that same feedback where I had things very open, just like an illustration. Whereas a coloring book, people want more little shapes that are easier to fill. Especially if someone's using, like, I don't know, crappy markers or something, and they still want it to look cute. Because instead of having, like, this big swath where there's, you know, it can, if someone's coloring it, it can leave lots of, like, weird texture and stuff. But if it's smaller, it's just easier to fill. Yeah, and I think it'll also help kind of even things out because you have like a lot of detail going on in the palm trees and then a lot of white space elsewhere. So yeah, I think it would just balance it out as well as a composition. Yeah, so hopefully all that makes sense. Was there anything I didn't cover? Anything else you had questions on? That's all? Awesome. You did a really great job. It's really great seeing your art again. All right. So we have Lawrence, who I saw earlier. So maybe I'll look at your stuff because you were here, where I haven't seen Kuro or Clad. So maybe we'll do their stuff last. Okay. So you just need general critique on this. Awesome. Okay. Pardon me. My goodness. So many yawns. Okay. So yeah. So with this, I like how you're using some high contrast in your pencil work. Because I think that's a trap some people can fall into where they'll go very light with their penciling. So I like how you're using some really like dark pencil for like the shadows, and to show like the hair and the clothing and the folds and stuff, as well as like the detail in the tail and the ears and the hair and all that good stuff. I think you've done a really good job with getting lots of contrast between the different pieces, which is great. I also really love the movement that you've got going on in the hair, like especially with like the bangs and with this tail down here. It's just so fluffy and soft. Also really great expression. I think there are some proportion issues happening where the hands and feet in particular feel very, very small. I like how you have you've done some good work with like the foreshortening on the legs. I almost said foreshadowing. Very different. The foreshortening on the legs, so showing like the legs in perspective coming towards the camera. But I think in showing the legs going back, you've made the feet like a little bit too small. Yes, foreshadowing. Yeah, you understand. Yeah, but anyways, you've done a good job with the posing of the legs and stuff. But the feet feel a little small. The hands also feel a little small, especially in comparison to the head. Whereas the head and the neck area feel very, very big in comparison to the rest of the body. And the neck feels very long, I think partially because things are sized up. But the neck and head feel very big and the neck feels very long. I'd recommend sizing them down quite a bit. Probably to being more like around here and around this size, just to fit on the body a little bit better. But yeah, you've done some really great work with the folds in the clothing. Like I like how you've got this kind of what is it? It's kind of like I forget what kind of collar that is. I thought the hands and feet were too small. Yeah, just a smidge. But anyways, I really like the fold that you've done with the hem, lapel, that area of the of the vest he's wearing, as well as like the nice folds in the shirt underneath. You've done a really great job with just like modeling the folds while still modeling like the shape underneath. So yeah, really great work there. Yeah, and same on the sleeves as well, and on the shorts. I think you're also doing good work with the foreshortening on the hands. Like, they feel very structured and shapely. I think the only problem is that they're small. So if they were... maybe they're not too small, it's just the head and shoulder, the head and neck are throwing me off. I'm not sure. But anyways. Yeah, a very good job with the foreshortening. And the contrast. Hi, Chloe. I have a problem with making big heads. Honestly, I do too. What helps me sometimes when I'm having trouble with that is drawing the body before the head. I find sometimes when I start with the head, I'll make it very large and then, I don't know, just the body turns out small. So sometimes it helps to draw the body out first. It's even a good exercise. Like, try drawing the legs first and build your way up. You get interesting results, but I think it helps with making sure the head is proportional. So yeah, so that could be an exercise to give a try to. I think part of the reason why people draw really big heads is when you're looking at art of people, like portraits and stuff, we tend to, a lot of focus goes into the face. Because in portraits, that tends to be like the most important part, is showing someone's face and their expression and stuff. So I guess people just get like tunnel vision on faces, and they turn out larger in our heads than they actually are. And I think that comes through in the art as well. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just how I've interacted with my art. But yeah, that's something I've also struggled with. Yeah, did you have any other questions or anything you wanted me to talk about more for this sketch? I'm also fascinated by this red bit. I'm like, what is that? That's great. Okay. That is the best answer you could have ever given. It's buff plankton. Oh my god, Lawrence, I love you. That's amazing. Oh my god. If you haven't already, please share that on the Discord. Awesome. Okay, well thanks, Lawrence. I'm excited to see the exciting stuff you're working on for next month. Okay, so we have Koro and Clad. I'll put it in art share. Thank you, Lawrence. Okay. Okay, let's start with Kuro. And then we'll do Clad's last. Unless one of them appears. Clad, you're here! Oh, damn. Okay, I'll do yours first because you're here. I summoned you. Unless you were always here and I just didn't notice. Oh, don't worry. You're just in time. Okay. So, Clad, my friend. Alright. So this is a warm-up from before working on your comic. Sorry, girl. Okay. So. This is a very lovely warm-up sketch. I gotta say. Okay, so looking through it, you've done a really great job with sculpting out the features. They're very, like, you've done a lot of subtlety in the structure of the face, with your shading, which is really cool. Because, like, I love how you see, like, the 3D-ness with the shadow under the lip. You see, like, the cheekbones, and, like, lines under the eyes, and, like, the shape of the nose really well. I really love how you've got a little bit of highlight right above the brow to show the, I guess, like, the brow ridge there. Same with showing, like, a little bit of reflected light under the chin. Some nice, really subtle work on the shell of the ear, where you can see, I don't know what any of those are called inside the ear, but you can see the little shapes in there, even the more subtle shape differences. And yeah, I just think overall you've done, like, a really lovely job. I especially love, there's, like, hold on, let me close up. Let me get real close in here. I love right here where you've got this really dark line for the nostril and then a little bit of the highlight behind it to really just show the shape even better. It's just so nice. It's just a lovely nose. I also really love the way you've used your line weight to highlight shadows and shapes, like how you've got a darker shadow beneath the nose, and you've used it to sculpt out the shape of the lips as well, and beneath the chin and the back of the jaw. I love the little dewy details inside of the eye to make it feel very like glowy. I love drawing noses. Noses are so fun to draw. I agree. I love the subtle little highlights in the hair. Really great work there. You've got a very good balance of showing the individual strands in hair while not getting overwhelming in it. And I love the little details of the little extra hairs coming out of the bun. Very relatable. Yeah, I think my only bit of feedback to watch out for with your shading, I think you've done a very good job in the face with showing the different planes and stuff. It maybe gets a little bit cloudy right in here, like showing the bottom of the jaw, where some of your texture, it feels a little bumpy, if that makes sense. Like, it makes it look like the skin is just like a little bit more textured instead of just showing the reflection of light. So just be careful with that. And a more dramatic version of that is like the back of the neck here, where you've got some the texture on it just feels bumpy. So instead of having like a smooth, instead of the neck just looking smooth, it looks like there's kind of like some bumping and ridging going on the neck. So that's just something to look out for, just smoothing out textures where you can. It's hard when you're doing something like this because you've got some kind of like, you're using like a textured brush, I can tell. So sometimes it's hard to control that, but you did such a great job in the face, so you got this. That's just something to be mindful of. Yeah, I love the really subtle shadow you did on the lips. I just have to zoom in and show everyone. Like, I love how you've got like the little highlights showing the texture on the lip and the really subtle shadow shaping the lower lip. And then the little subtle gradient of the shadow leading from like the top of the lip, like leading out into the rest of the face. It's just so nice. It's just so nice and subtle and delicious. I did not have a reference for the neck part. I think you've got like the general shadow and lighting down. I think it just needs to be smoothed out texture wise. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any questions on it? Anything I didn't answer? Oh, right, you wanted to know about the goblin logo. I really like it. It's very cute. Yeah. It's got a lot of good, like, little pointy bits with, like, the ear and the collar and the nose and stuff. I wonder if you can, because I like how you have the circle. I wonder if you could make the glasses on the goblin more circular instead of oval. Just to bring in that kind of circle a little bit. You could also probably get away with bringing it in tighter around the goblin's head. Yeah, like making the circle smaller and bringing it closer to the goblin. And then if the nose starts interfering with like your name, you could always tilt it a little bit, like tilt the clad pepper to the side a little bit. The ear tip and the ring is a tangent? I don't think so, because you've got enough, you've got enough of a space to show that they're different shapes. Like, I think it would be a tangent if they were touching, but because you have, like, you can create some good tension there as you have it with having it, like, just barely not touching. So I think you're good there. Yeah, if you bring in the circle tighter, you could have the ear and the nose, like, overlapping the circle, which could add some visual interest to it. Yeah. You could also have the same effect by doing like 2 circles instead of just the one. Like having like this circle and then like an inner circle. Something like that. I think there's just a bit too much negative space around the goblin's head. What do you think about the values of the portrait? I have some problems with using the whole spectrum of dark and light. It's definitely a very dark piece. Overall, like, it's very shadowed. And then you have this very bright light coming in from the top left. I think some more light probably could have been brought to the eye. It feels a little bit dark compared to how the light would hit it. Let's see, can I show it on me at all? A little bit, because even in shadow, admittedly I don't have like a very strong brow. And I have hooded eyes and not non-hooded eyes. I don't know the term for it. But anyways, the light, even when it's more shadowed, like on this eye, you can still see the light hitting the top lid because it brings it forward quite a bit. And then you get like, because you have a very nice dark line to show the upper lid, but sorry, to make the upper lid distinct from the brow, which is great. But I think you could add some more lightness to the top of the eyelid, similar to how, like, mine's very bright because the eye is brought forward. Would the darkness of the light be justified if the eye had been moved inwards, having more deep set eyes? Yeah. I might widen the highlight on it just a smidge, but I think you can have like very deep set eyes and have that darkness on it. Especially because it's like the light is coming from like above, which can give a very shadowed look to the eyes. Like if you shine a light like right here above someone, it shadows their eyes. So I don't shy away from it too much, but I think it could be brightened up a little bit. As for like the overall use of like light and dark, yeah, it's a very dark piece overall, but I think you do a good job of bringing in like really light highlights. There isn't really a problem with like having midtones anywhere. Yeah, because everything's so dark, your attention really goes to like the nose and the lips and the cheekbone, because that's like the place where there's the most light. So yeah, I think that's why I mentioned bringing like light to the eye. It depends on what you're going for, because I know with a lot of portraits, a lot of attention is brought to the face and to the eyes in particular, because that's, I guess, like the soul of the person. But in here, because the eye is so shadowed, it definitely gives like a very different vibes than like a typical portrait. It feels very moody. And the character's brooding a little bit. But yeah, so if you wanted to brighten up the eyes, I think that would make it like a more kind of typical portrait. But if you're going for this more kind of like dark, brooding kind of look, I think you've done a good job. And there's plenty of really light highlights and really dark shadows, which is great. That's what you want. Good contrast, you know? How's the anatomy? Overall, very good. I think the only thing that stands out to me is the neck feels very long. I feel like the clavicle would be more like right here. You can see my cursor. And the beginning of the shoulder would be like up here. Where here it's like very low down. The neck muscle here, just from the way it's shaded, feels very thick. Which isn't to say it's like unrealistic. Some people have like very big neck muscles. But smoothing it out, like reducing this line here a little bit and maybe like adding a bit more light. Because right now it's very separated where the light is hitting like the top of this ridge right here. Which just gives it this very like strong shape, where if you kind of smoothed it out a little bit and kind of evenly blended the light out more to the middle here, the neck would probably look smoother. If that's something you wanted to do. But yeah, you've got a really good sense of like the shape of the cheeks and the nose and the mouth. Nothing's connecting really weird. The ear might be a little bit big. It depends on the character. Big neck muscles because my shoulders are always neighbors with my ears. Monica, why are you crying? Oh my goodness. She just came up to complain. The ear feels a bit meaty, but I don't know what's really wrong. I think part of it is because of the shadowing. I think it probably feels a bit thick, because if you had more kind of crisp highlights going on, like around this like inner shell and like the lobe of the ear, you could probably make it feel like a little bit more, I guess, delicate and shapely. Where here, because it's like fairly shadowed, and very softly blended, it might be feeling like a bit meatier, I guess. There is a lot of like tissue on the top here as well. Like it might be maybe thickening up this like what do you call those? The little hair right beside your ear. Sideburn. You can make his like sideburn more thicker and kind of cover up the top of the ear a little bit, if that makes sense. Like pull it back a little bit. Yeah, sideburn. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I think, yeah, just because there's like a lot of shadow over here, that might be why it's feeling thicker than you'd wanted. But I love like the shading like inside the shell of the ear. Like you got some nice really subtle gradients going on inside to show like the eardrum and stuff. It's really pretty. think to get really nitpicky, you could do like a little bit more reflected light under this part of the jaw. It's getting a little lost in the shadow here. So if you wanted to make the jaw very like cut, you could add a bit more of a reflected light here. Yeah. The innards of the ear is a mystery, for real. Who even knows what those words are for them? Who knows? Nobody. It's a mystery to science. No problem. Thanks for submitting. Yeah, let me know if you have any further questions, Clad. Okay. So final. How do we submit our pieces? So, if you want to submit your artwork or your comics or your scripts or your writing, you can sign up for our Patreon. There should be a link down below, or Nightbot will eventually drop a link in chat. But yeah, you can sign up for our Patreon. We do the critiques at the end of every month. So if you get it in now, you can have your stuff looked at next month. All right. You also get access to lots of cool stuff if you join our Patreon. You get the critiques. You can join our hangouts where we all chat and draw together and have a good little artist party. Officially, it's like bi-weekly, but honestly, we hang out more than that. So lots of fun artist friends, and we have some private channels for Patreon supporters only, which is always fun. Okay. I got, okay, so a cover concept and 2 designs. Just a critique for this cover concept. I'm not sure if it works. Okay, so I think Marika, why are you crying? Go see your dad. Go see Bones. Bones will pet you. Okay, no problem. Okay, alright. So for the cover for this, I think as a cover concept, it's really fun. It feels very anime. Like, it feels like a manga I'd pick up. Yeah, because you've got like some fun character poses. You're showing off like, look at all these cool characters that will appear in this comic. I think it's really fun. The posing is very dynamic of the like foreground characters. And you get hints of like dramatic things happening with the characters in the background. I think it's a really fun concept overall. I like the placement of the typography. I think you've got a decent amount of space for like the story and art byline and the title and the number. I think I also like how the characters overlap with it. It just integrates it into the composition more, which is really nice. Yeah, where I think some people keep their typography very separate and shove it off into a corner. So I like how you're incorporating it with the art, which is great. I think there's some contrast issues, like the one really blends in with this red eye thing you got going on. So I'd work on making that distinct, whether that's like making the one smaller and making it white because red is a very dark color. And you're already using some very dark reds. But that's just something to keep in mind when you're working with red. It is very dark. If you're working with yellow, it's very light, and totally depends on the color, but red is very dark. So if you're using red, it helps to use white as contrast with it on top, unless you're using like a very light red, which would basically be a pink. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, I like the texture you're using on the typography. Yeah, I like how you're making the logo your own. I think with the shape of the like panels, I'll call them, of the different characters in the back, I like how here on the left side it's a little jagged and crooked. Like the top one is straight down, and then it flares out, and then it flares in, and then it flares out. I think that's just, it adds some more dynamicness, whereas on the other side it's all just straight down. I'd recommend playing around with it and seeing if you can get this jagged edge look as well on that side, just to help make things feel even. With some of the characters, okay, the only one it's really a problem with is this character with the beard and the blue tie. He needs to be brought like into the composition more. There's a lot of empty space, and like I understand why he's like off in the corner, because you don't want the character's legs covering him up. But I think like it needs to get flipped or give more room to like the other side or something, just because like there's a lot of empty space right here and he's kind of shoved off into the corner, so I think he needs to be brought into the middle some more. But otherwise the other character placements are pretty good. The main characters who are up front, yeah, the posing's really fun. Yeah, honestly, I really like the characters up front. You've got some good proportioning going on and a really fun pose, cool magic effects. Yeah. I don't really have any big changes to the foreground characters. The other background character, I would recommend maybe changing up the composition a little bit, is this one here. The guy, or I'm not sure, the person in the coat here with the green hair. Their hair is really blending in with the gray background, and they just feel very flat. Just from a side view. And kind of, they feel kind of condensed by the how narrow the panel is. Like it feels like their hair should like flow out more, but it got kind of stunted by the edge of the panel. So I might change that one up, just because it feels very out of place and cramped. And this character at the bottom also feels like they got like a little bit squished top to bottom, just because their panel is very narrow. Or short, I guess, not narrow. So yeah, so I recommend fixing it up a little bit so they're a little bit taller looking. Yeah, just because it looks like they got stunted by the shape of the panel. So yeah, hopefully all of that makes sense. I might also align the background colors a little bit more. The foreground colors, because the main characters are all very like red and purple, and then the background's very red. I think that works really well. I might adjust some of the characters in the background so their colors are all more cohesive, because they're kind of all over the place, and some of them are actually like stealing the show. Like the bright green of this character and the bright pink of this character are really kind of like stealing focus. So yeah, I might tone those colors down a bit. Yeah. So Curl, when you see this, let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer as always. Okay. So the next one is Rizzo's new character sheet. Not a lot changed. Yeah, the design does look very similar to the last one you sent. But I like how built out your character sheet is. I like how you've included different expressions, different outfits, different props and important things to him. Like, it's just real good. I love the idea of this pink lovely man with his little pink high tops doing forensic science. Very good. I like this character a lot. I also really like the shading you did here on this butterfly, where you've got this like nice little gradient going on. That's just nice. I love the high tops. You got such cute little details on them, and I love the balance of like the pink and the white. Yeah, the colors on him feel really balanced. Like you've got a good balance between like the really bright pink with the eyes and like the shoes. And you kind of have like a purpley pink tint to a lot of the supporting colors, like his belt and his hair. And the kind of, what would be beige, creamy color for the pants like really works with everything. The only thing I'd say is his skin tone feels a little bit like desaturated or cool, if that makes sense. Like it's a little green. You might want to bring it more to like a warmer color. Like I'm not sure if that's bringing some like orange in or some pink, something like that, just to warm it up a little bit because it feels very cool. Though I guess depending on the color palette for the rest of the comic, it might work. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, where his skin tone feels a little bit off. Yeah. Yeah, otherwise, it's looking really good. I love the rabbit. It's a very cute bunny. Yeah, really great work. Color-wise, design-wise. I love the little hearts as like the little back tags on the sneakers. Yeah, it's really solid. Kuro, let me know if you have questions on that one. No, I think you're doing really great. Good. Really good job. Yeah. Yeah, let me know if you have questions after. And finally, Gina. Wait a minute, you're Kuro? Frick. I thought you weren't here. I didn't realize you were using a different account. Frick. Shit. Oh wait, I mean shoot. Sugar. Sugar. I didn't realize that was you. How embarrassing. I'm sorry. Do you have any questions about these? I didn't know that. That's great. Okay, well now I know. Now I know to look out for you. All very helpful? Okay, awesome. Okay, so anyways. This is the chief secretary and a former Marine. Oh, damn. Okay. Pew. Pew pew. I love it. I'm on mobile, so I can't change the account. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. So for this character, I really love all the little touches of the really bright pink for like the eyes and the accessories and the hair. It's all just really nice and cohesive. It especially contrasts really well with the black of her outfit. I really like the... Is it a prosthetic that she's wearing? Because these look like scars on her leg. So I wasn't sure if it's like a prosthetic leg. But anyways, the colors are really cool. And I also really enjoy how the green of the camo contrasts with her pink aesthetic. So yeah, that's really cool. Really great color use. And really good contrast as well. I love the little detail on the ring. That's super cute. She just looks like she'd punch me, but like she's also adorable. Poor girl, been through a lot. Aw, oh BB. But yeah, I love her. Yeah, I like the other looks that you added. Because you get a good sense of, she's got this like kind of tougher look to her, and then she looks very like stylish in her, I guess, her work uniform, which is great. So I just realized I was wondering, I thought the nude one of Rizzo was just like so you could understand like what he looks like naked or something. Maybe there's a scene where he's naked. I didn't realize it was his sleep attire. Okay. Yeah, overall really good. I like how boxy she is. And I like how it comes through a lot in her hair. Like her bun is made of like little blocky squares, and so are like the strands of her hair. And then like the rest of her uniform is very like square and rectangle, and like in her more casual look, she wears very boxy clothing. It's a good little touch, and I love the water gun. Man. They should give all secretaries water guns to shoot at people when they're being rude. If you get out of line, they just shoot you with a little water gun. Anyways, yeah, overall, I got sprayed by my secretary. Bones, you're a demon. I'm taking that from you. No, no. Do you guys understand the abuse I go through? Only field agents get real guns. Oh. Okay. Awesome. Do you have any questions about her or anything I didn't cover? Oh, actually, one thing I will say. Okay, it's less of an issue with Rizzo's ID thing. But I'd recommend using white on the blue background, just because like it's a little dark. It's especially apparent with hers, where the blue is very dark in comparison to the black lettering. So I'd recommend using like white or a light color on top. But yeah, that's all. That's all. Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you for submitting. Oh man, everyone was here. Hope everyone had a good time. Everyone who submits is just so good at art. I'm like, dang. Gosh dang. Alrighty. I forgot to change it to white. Oh, okay. You're good. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to our Patreon supporters for signing up and submitting their work. It can be pretty nerve-wracking to get your stuff looked at live, so I'm always thankful that you guys do this, and yeah, I hope the advice has been helpful. If you yourself are new, please make sure to subscribe for one. We'd love to have you come back for other videos and streams. But if you'd like your stuff critiqued, you can always sign up for our Patreon. And yeah, once you sign up, you should get all the information you need so you can submit your character designs, your comic pages, your comic scripts, illustrations, a whole lot of stuff you can submit and we'll look at. So yeah, awesome. Great work, everybody. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Mwah. Love you guys. Take care. Mwah, mwah, mwah.